So this is a gearbox on the workbench, and I've taken off the clutch slave cylinder, which is that component. Now there's just one thing I want to draw your attention to, and that's this little plastic clip that sits on the outside of the gearbox. The pipe comes out of the slave cylinder, goes up through there, and that actually clips on in place. So you'll have great difficulty removing this slave cylinder unless you understand how this is fixed in place. Now it grips onto the connector on the end of the pipe there with two little spring clips there. So what you'll have to do is prise that out of the gearbox, get onto those spring clips and just manipulate them open with a screwdriver to pull the hydraulic pipe out. To fit the new hydraulic cylinder, let's take a look in the box. This is what we've got in here. We've got a cylinder with a new pipe, got an O-ring and a metal clip. First item to put in place is the O-ring. That's sitting quite nicely in there. Next item is the slave cylinder. Now there's a red piece of plastic there. That stops the centre of the slave cylinder popping out and can be removed at the last minute just before the gearbox is attached. I'm just going to put a smear of transmission oil on this shaft to ease that rear oil seal into place. Make sure it's all pristine clean so that it seals. Turn it around that way. Pass that into the hole. Gently ease that down the shaft. Looks pretty good. Now I'll have a drop of thread lock onto these bolts that have come out. You don't need much of this stuff. Fix this in place, we need to just raise it That's actually fixed in place very nicely. When fitting the friction plate for the clutch, it's necessary to centre this friction plate so that the spline shaft from the gearbox will slide it through the centre of the clutch friction plate once the cover is on. The way that's normally done is with a centering tool or some sockets. So you'd have a smaller size socket you would pass through and just use that to centre the friction plate. Not so in this case, because the size of the hole that I have in the flywheel is larger than the hole down the centre of the friction plate. So I've made my own nifty little tool, which I shall demonstrate here. It's a piece of 15mm copper pipe with some masking tape on it and a couple of O-rings which fit neatly into the larger size hole in the flywheel. The way I plan to use this is to position it through the friction plate like so, centre the clutch. When I finish with it, to pull the pipe off, then pull those two rings through. If one of the rings drops, it's not such a problem because I'll be able to just remove the cover. The cover will just be loosely attached, but it should enable me to centre this plate. Now for the moment of truth. I'm happy with the centering of the clutch. I've got these bolts hand tightened, and I'm going to remove my tool. First of all. Oh, and two O-rings come out with it. Fantastic. Now I shall go ahead and torque down these 8 bolts, working in a diagonal sequence.